the jibber jabber. Don't be babbling like a fool. Say what you got to say. That's all. Then shut your dang pie hole.
Gotta love Mr. T. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel, everyone. It is a free-for-all Friday fiasco. Welcome one, welcome all. We're going to do it. We do this every Friday where instead of me doing a 30-minute monologue, I talk about some things and then you get your questions mixed throughout the show. We mix it up, just like Mr. T did with Rocky. Bam, bam, bam. And it has been one heck of a week, folks. One heck of a week. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. It has hit the fan big time, folks. It has hit the fan big time. I want to talk a little bit about the CIA. I told you so, CIA. Now, down in Ecuador, folks, they had a presidential candidate. You know how we have elections up here. Well, this candidate was assassinated. Interesting how a CIA-run country, socialist country, has political assassinations. Funny how that works, is it? Kind of funny how the CIA seems to have these issues. It seems weird that other countries have issues with the CIA and political assassinations. Does it seem that way to you? I don't know if I would actually call it funny. Kind of like this, right? Did you know that in Pakistan, the Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan was overthrown? That's right, folks. In fact, this name may sound a little familiar to you. Well, the Biden regime and Victoria Nuland were involved. Folks, D.C., Washington, D.C. overthrows democratic elections where the people decide. They overthrow elections in foreign countries. Surprise? Don't be, folks, and don't be surprised in 2024. Color revolutions have come home. And just as predicted, just as understood as the United States government, does its thing, right? All governments grow, become powerful and large, and then when they overgrow themselves, they become corrupt. Instead of looking outward, they start to look inward into their own country, and they start abusing their own people as they collapse. It's the same today as it was during the Roman Empire. The same thing happened, folks. The Roman Empire grew, became powerful, became ultimately corrupt, and then destroyed itself. Destroyed itself. Wow, it has been one heck of a week. I've been busting my ass. Have you? Have you been busting your ass? I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have, folks. We have all kinds of trouble out there. All kinds of trouble. Are you ready for what's coming? Do you expect what I expect? Do you see what I see? Now, this is pretty interesting, folks. FDA lawyer comes out and he admits, well, you know, doctors can prescribe horse paste, right? The product that is ivermectin. The FDA lawyer says doctors can prescribe that. Why do we need a lawyer to tell us what our doctors can prescribe for cerveza bug? And then this lawyer goes on to say, well, the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration for the U.S. government, has sovereign immunity against liability for false or misleading statements. Why would he need that? Why would he say that? Understand, folks, these people know, they're in trouble, and they know they should be in trouble. Sovereign immunity for false and misleading statements. What false and misleading statements could he be talking about? Oh, the fact that the FDA falsely said you can't, misled people into thinking that horse paste was dangerous, was not effective. Well, I want to tell this to this lawyer and all lawyers and all government officials. when it comes to your sovereign immunity, it's wrong. You do not have sovereign immunity for false and misleading statements when people's lives are affected. Sovereign lead or sovereign rope. That's something you get to choose from, right? Which do they prefer for their treason? Once again, I don't suggest violence or anything harmful or dangerous, but treason has a penalty clause. And we're going to find out, folks. Ultimately, this is going to come out. In fact, today I heard the question. Someone said, when is this going to come out? When will they admit it? When? When are they going to have to admit everything they've done, which is so wrong? I hope soon. I truly do. I hope soon. So yeah, this bombshell by the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, was dropped today. Here is the quote, if I may. This is the Food and Drug Administration now. The government, which is, I guess, made up entirely of experts. Quote, the FDA explicitly recognizes that doctors do have the authority to prescribe Ivory horse paste to treat cerveza bug. That was Ashley Chung Honold, a Department of Justice lawyer representing the FDA. Isn't it interesting that the FDA won't speak directly, that they have an attorney, a lawyer, a government lawyer from the DOJ, the Department of Justice, not the Department of Legality or the Department of the Constitution, but the Department of Justice. Oh, and by the way, this was said during oral arguments, which is why it was an attorney saying it. And it was said in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. What does that tell you, folks? The government, the Department of Justice, is now defending the FDA. Here's a quote from the case about that was appealed. The fundamental issue in this case is straightforward. After the FDA approves the human drug for sale, does it then have the authority to interfere with how that drug is used within the doctor-patient relationship? The answer is no. You are not a horse. You are not a cow. Seriously, y'all, stop it. That was the quote, that last one, that the FDA released. Folks, we're going to have blowback. It's coming. That old man in Utah, whether or not you believe the story, it tells a story that Americans are sick and tired of these absolute scumbags in D.C. and they're lying. What do you think? What's on your mind? It is the Friday free-for-all. I don't know who's in charge of questions today. Is it Uman? Is it Jolene? Is it both of them? I don't know. And as Jason Walker steps up first on this fiasco of a Friday free-for-all, he says, hey, the reason they rise up and we don't is because we are at work. Oh, I think Jason's talking about people in streets and protests. You bet. The reason they rise up, they make more noise as well. They're a bunch of unemployed ninnies. That's right. They're a bunch of bums. Now, this is Vincent Boyle's response, talking about Antifa and BLM. He says, I've seen the same thing as Jason. In Northern Ireland, during the riots, loyalist groups would go home early as they had work while the Marxist left kept it up all night. What does that tell you, folks? Freedom is not free, and we're going to have to put in some overtime. We will. We're going to put in some overtime. Well, I feel like I'm doing it already, but yeah, we're all going to have to put in overtime. SHTF is not an 8-hour-a-day thing, and it's not 5 days a week. It's going to be a lot more than that if things get really, really nasty. Thank you, Mr. Vincent. Thank you, Mr. Jason. I appreciate that. I believe that may have been something that was up yesterday. Now, that was kind of a call to action by them. The FDA getting sued in court. No, we have sovereign immunity. No, you don't. That is a made-up rule that the government created to protect itself. They can be held accountable, folks. Everyone should be held to account. Now, call to action on that, call to action on the CIA, call to action on everything, folks. And now this, Representative Greg Stube, he's a congressman. He announces that he's going to file impeachment resolutions against Joe Biden for a number of crimes, folks, high crimes and misdemeanors. Like this, financial involvement in drugs and prostitution, obstruction of justice, fraud, extortion, bribery. Here's another quote. We have all the facts and evidence now. Folks, no Republican should oppose this, and so we need to have another call to action for us. Call, write, text, message your congressman and say, support this impeachment. There is no more of this, well, we don't have enough evidence, then we need more investigation. That is a big lie. That is a red herring. It is crap. It is a misleading statement to say there's not enough information. Any one of these things, any single one of these things would be enough to impeach any other president. Bribery? There's no mild bribery. There's no minuscule extortion. There's no mild obstruction of justice. There's no inconsequential fraud. There's no harmless involvement in drugs and prostitution. They're all crimes. And if Joe Biden has had a hand in any of them, then he should be impeached and then he should be removed from office by the Senate. He says, we have all the facts and evidence now. Well, Congressman, make it public, 100% public. Do a file dump to the public so we can all follow along and watch the impeachment. Folks, there is so much going on and they're hiding it. They're distracting us. They're doing everything they can to keep us busy with everything else. Joe Biden needs to be removed. There is a serious, serious, serious problem with what is happening. There truly is. I'm going to lead you now to President Trump. And he said, Joe Biden is not only dumb and incompetent, I believe he has gone mad, a stark, raving lunatic, end quote from President Donald J. Trump. Do you disagree with him? That Joe Biden is dumb and incompetent? Do you believe Trump and agree with him when he says Biden has gone mad, crazy, and is a stark, raving lunatic? Folks, guess who else was a stark, raving lunatic? And he sounded like it. Hitler. Hitler was a stark, raving lunatic who would scream and yell at people. We're in that room now, folks, with those people and Joe Biden and the Biden administration and the Obama administration behind him. Folks, Joseph Stalin did not sound like Obama. He didn't need to sound like Obama. Hitler. He didn't need to sound like Hitler. He was much more calm. But guess what he did? He murdered tens of millions of his own people. He was stark, raving lunatic and gone mad. It's just he was quiet about it. And he wasn't dumb and he wasn't incompetent, and neither was Chairman Mao, communist socialist leader of China. And neither was Vladimir Lenin of the Soviet communist socialist Russia. None of these people, folks, none of them that I just said, that murdered over 100 million people, are much dissimilar at this point from Joe Biden. The only thing is Joe has not been caught murdering people yet. But did I or did I not just read off a litany of crimes that he's being charged with by Representative Stube? It's just that simple. He is just one step away from locking people in concentration camps, from declaring an emergency, whether it's a pandemic or a climate emergency. Now, I'm not being an alarmist saying he's going to. I'm trying to inform people that these are the steps that these psychopathic leaders take. Joe Biden is prosecuting, persecuting, attacking, and trying to silence his political opposition. President Donald J. Trump. This is a fiasco, and whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not, we are all involved in it. The same way the German people were involved in it, and they allowed Hitler to take power, and then they did not stop Hitler. The Russian people allowed the Bolsheviks to take over, and they became communists. And then the people were punished for it, and tens of millions were murdered. Same with Chairman Mao, because everyone thought everything is fine. No one is that evil. No one's that bad. Surprise. Joe Biden is doing exactly what they did. He is prosecuting his rivals. He wants to jail them. Down, and I just read, folks, and gave examples of leaders who are removed by a coup, false elections, lies, tricks, and assassinations. What makes you think Trump is not going to be assassinated? Or do you think that's a valid concern that Trump could be assassinated? How hard really would it be to assassinate President Trump if you were someone as powerful as Joe Biden? We have a shit show on our hands right now. We are not hip deep, waist deep. We're neck deep in it. We're in that room now. When Trump says crooked Joe Biden is not only dumb and incompetent, I believe he has gone mad, a stark raving lunatic. That is a former president of the United States talking about a current president of the United States. This is not just rhetoric. And even if you believe that Trump and Biden are on the same side, even if you believe that it's a uniparty scam to fool us, I don't think you can deny the fact that the level of fiery rhetoric and anger and accusatory language, it's incendiary. It inspires and promotes massive psychological trauma on people who are already engaged, not like us intellectually, but those who are emotionally engaged. It's going to cause trouble. Big trouble. All right, let's do this. Who wants to step up next? And it's Ooh Man. And thank you, Mr. Ooh Man. He says the Illinois Supreme Court ruled in favor of B.J. Pritzker. That would be the governor. The Supreme Court in Illinois, not the U.S. Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court in Illinois, ruled in favor of B.J. Pritzker's assault weapons ban today in a 4-3 decision. In boxing, that would be called a split decision. It will be interesting to see the percentage of compliance. Well, ooh man, that is fascinating news. The old Second Amendment brought into question.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore. Hell yes, hell yes, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15. Hell yes.
What if that man was standing in your living room? I'm asking you this seriously, honestly. Think about Beto O'Rourke standing in your living room, and he's looking right at you, and he says, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15. Hell yes, we're going to take your AK-47. Hell yes, we're going to take your pistol, your shotgun, your rifle. What would your reaction be to him standing in your living room? I hope your reaction would be, get the fuck out of my living room. Get the fuck out of my face. Now, I want you to imagine this. Beto O'Rourke and B.J. Pritzker standing in your living room. That big, fat, swarthy pig from Illinois, their governor, saying, give us all your guns. What would be the fantasy reaction in your mind? Don't say it. Don't write it. Damn it. Don't write that shit down. Just fantasize about what you would need to do to protect yourself, your family, your rights, and America. Now I'm going to take you one step further in this exercise. And again, I don't want anyone doing anything illegal, unlawful, dangerous, harmful, mean. Don't write anything. What would you think if you were sitting on your couch, just sitting back, relaxing after a hard day at work, and you're stretching and I had a hard week, and you're on your couch and you yawn, and all of a sudden, Beto O'Rourke walks into your living room, and there are two FBI agents, one on each side of him, says FBI right there on their little chest, right? And they've got MP5s, they've got AR-15s or M4 machine guns. And each one of them stands next to Beto O'Rourke, and they look at you, and he says, hell yes, I'm here to take your AR-15s. Hell yes, I'm here to take your AKs. What do you think he is? At that point, you've got rifles aimed at you, and you've got a politician telling you the way it's going to be. You've got a politician violating your rights. You've got a politician telling you he doesn't care. You got a politician saying the Constitution doesn't matter. You have a politician there, folks, with guns to support him. Now, you know you're dead meat on that couch. You're either going to lose your guns or you're going to try getting off the couch and you're going to get shot for it, because that's what the FBI does these days. Now, I want to take you all the way back to just this scene. Political posturing on a stage.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47.
Right? That's just political speech, and the crowd went wild. It's just political speech at that point. But how much time is there between political speech and someone with a gun standing at your front door, beating on it, demanding entrance? Someone breaking into your house, walking into your living room with a badge and a gun and pointing it at you and saying, hell yes, I'm here to take your guns. Beto O'Rourke, people showing up at the door and shooting old men. Beto O'Rourke, Hillary Clinton, Senator Feinstein, Diane from California, Senator Sanders, that's right, Communist Sanders, Joe Biden, Bill Clinton, take your pick. And today, they have closed the gap on what they want to do. Now, conversely, the Supreme Court has said, no. Gun control, you're way back here, government. You don't have a right to take guns. What the Constitution says, what the Supreme Court has been ruling, is continuing to be attacked by politicians and their political free speech. Have all the free speech you want. The moment you sign a piece of legislation or vote for one that violates our rights, I think you've committed a crime. You violated your oath. You're anti-American, and you should be thrown in jail. That's what I think. This is what they want to do. So the governor of Illinois and the Illinois Supreme Court. Now, this is fascinating to me. Again, I want to take you back to, it's a split decision. 4 judges said, it's fine. 3 judges said, you're full of shit. That's a violation of the Constitution. State Constitution, federal Constitution, our personal constitutions, American history, American jurisprudence, the Federalist Papers, the Declaration of Independence, the Magna Carta, the Bible, everything says we need to protect ourselves. Stand up, act ye like men. Sell your cloak and buy a sword. There's your Bible references. Now, how many people are just going to go turn their shit in? Fine. We didn't need them or their guns anyways. Keep yours, because it is your right. I'm not telling you to violate a law. I'm telling you to uphold the law. Okay, what Illinois passed is a statute. Statute is not law. Statute is rules for government and rules for corporations. People are governed by law. I tell you, I'm fucking pissed about this ruling because it's bullshit. Now, understand this, folks. That was an appeals court. That was an appeals court that went to Supreme Court. It was state Supreme Court. It'll move on. The federal courts have overruled these low-life, chicken shit state courts. But it's fascinating to me that someone who's supposed to be intelligent, someone who is supposed to understand law, which is philosophy. It is embedded, folks, in our lives. The law, the way it works, it's supposed to be universal, it's supposed to be timeless, it's supposed to be consistent. I find it fascinating that some people see the truth and some people make up a lie. And the state of Illinois has made up a lie. And they have enough people willing to lie that they have a ruling 4-3 over your rights. It's not a vote, folks. It's 7 people wearing black robes trying to tell everyone else what to do or not do. But they can't, if the Supreme Court of Illinois cannot come to the same conclusion, all of them saying, yes, that's a right, or all of them saying, no, it's not your right, that would convince me that they know what they're talking about. But see, it's not really a question of law. Understand this now. You know the law. You know the law. It's in your heart. It's in your soul. It's in your mind. It's in your being. It's in your essence. You know the law. You know right from wrong. What they have done is they have taken a political vote. That's really what they're doing, is voting on the politics. Now, of course, yeah, my politics is leave me the fuck alone. My politics is consistent with the law. Their politics, the left-wing liberal douchebags, their politics are consistent with what they think the world should be and what they want it to be. And they're going to use their position of power, influence, authority to come after and smack everyone. I sure hope you've got yours. Mine's right there. Mine's right there. Mine's right there. All my self-defense is within arm's reach. It's maddening, folks. Maddening. Great topic. Hey, thanks a lot, man. I was calm 5 minutes ago. Wow. I tell you, I've got some stuff for you here. Get this. Talking about a fucking fiasco. Joe Biden, he appointed the Attorney General, Merrick Butlick Garland. So, Merrick Butlick Garland, the Attorney General for the Washington, D.C. government, announces that David Weiss is going to be the special counsel in the Hunter Biden case. Folks, we may as well have Joe Biden himself, or no, how about Hunter's uncle? We may as well have Hunter's uncle become the special counsel. This is the coyote telling the fox, hey, I'll guard the hen house for you. Right? The farmer's going to buy that. He's like, hey, I know you foxes, but I'm going to trust you wolves and you coyotes. It's like, it's unbelievable. These people are ransacking the country and we get this type of shit. Folks, it is incredible. I've been, the last 2 days I've listened to financial investment, economic nerds. Best way I can put it. Financial investment, economic nerds talking about the economy, banking crisis, and they keep saying, and these are supposed to be politically, shall we say, neutral people. They're interested in money. They're interested in the way money works and how it flows. And they're like, you know what? What's going on with Donald Trump and this country is outrageous and a sham and a crime. And the whole world sees it. And the whole world is losing confidence in the U.S. dollar, in the United States as a country that should be considered and respected around the world. These are fucking nerds. They're nonpartisan nerds, and they're seeing what's going on. The same way you didn't have to be a partisan to see that killing millions of people in Germany and all over Europe under Hitler's regime was not very nice. It's a nonpartisan statement. You could say, well, I don't like the politics that led to it. Of course. But you don't have to be partisan to see that it's wrong to just murder people flat out. Now, is it wrong to kill a killer? Is it wrong to kill your enemy? Well, now we get into a whole nother question. As shit hits the fan and it gets really bad, You're going to be asking yourself that question. I think it's an important question to ask yourself. A bunch of Nazi stormtroopers are coming down your street. Does it matter if they're wearing Antifa hoodies and masks on their face? Does it matter if they're wearing Black Lives Matter shirts? Does it matter if they've got 3-letter bureaucratic agency jackets on, mirror sunglasses, cheap, shitty baseball caps, and those ridiculous little booties they wear? Does it matter who is coming down your street as long as you know they are the same as Nazis and what they're there to do is kill everyone? It doesn't matter what they're dressed like. You know what they're doing is wrong. It doesn't matter what your politics or theirs are, because what they're doing is wrong. Anyone who looked at 2020, the summer of love, the mostly peaceful protesting, you know it's wrong. And when there's no help and no one to back you up, when there's no government agency doing its job, you're going to have to decide for yourself what is right and what is wrong. Okay, Uman. Okay, Jolene, let's go to the next subject. I don't want to belabor that one too much. Uman steps back into the ring again. He says, the cycle of corruption is a never-ending one. Greed is part of human nature, always has been, always will be. I think that is an accurate statement. And that is why the framers of the United States Constitution, those great patriots, those patriarchs, take that, you feminist ding-dongs, they were patriarchs. They wrote in there protections and provisions for protecting ourselves. Even the Declaration of Independence that states that the American colonists tell the king to go screw himself and that they are going to establish their own government. They also state that at any time any government gets out of hand, then it is the right of the people and the duty of the people to throw off such government and reestablish or set up new government and restrictions to protect the people from it. As George Washington stated, government is like fire. It is a fearful servant and a terrible master. And we're learning that right now, because at this time, Uman, the cycle of corruption, human corruption, that finds its way into positions of authority, into positions of power, and they lustfully fill their pockets with treasure of the people. And when that starts to turn, when they start to run out, then they turn on the people themselves. Folks, the Soviets, the communists, this communist, socialist Soviets plundered their own country while taking it over. And they didn't go and kill everyone in the greatest numbers until after they had all the wealth and all the control. Same with Hitler. They moved into positions of power, authority, control. And it was after that they had all the wealth, all the resources, control of the military, control of the economy, control of the banking system. Then they're like, well, what's left? Well, all we have left is to abuse the fuck out of the people. America, the United States of America, has had a great system of government restriction and government mandates that it do its job. The government has decided it has sovereign immunity, and it no longer has to do what it's restricted and do what it's told and listen to the people. So now it has become immune as a sovereign to the people. Does that sound familiar to you? Think back to 1776. The king, a sovereign leader of the nation over in Europe, in England, decided that over in America, he was sovereign to the people, immune and above them. They could not touch him. And therefore, he was empowered, authorized to cause all manner of havoc, chaos, and criminal thought and behavior. He was immune. He could lie, deceive, cheat, mislead with impunity. And that's where we're at, folks. Our government thinks it can lie to us, trick us, commit fraud, duress, that it can experiment on us, that it can coerce us, that it can lie, shit on us, use propaganda, commit all manner of crime against us, and it is immune, that it has sovereign immunity. Hell, if it's got sovereign immunity over cerveza bug or drugs, don't you think, doesn't it stand to reason that they think they have sovereign immunity in every other instance? You bet. You bet they think that. You bet they think that. I want to thank Mr. Skylight for continuing to send me all kinds of information. Unbelievable amounts of information on what's going on out there. Now, before we get to the next question, I want to slip onto something that I think is very important. I've got two subjects, in fact. I've got three. Ah, shit, I've got four. No, I covered that one this morning. The Jim Jones juice and leprosy and zombies. Watch the Zero Dark 30 from earlier today if you hadn't seen it. I cover an interesting topic. Now I want to cover what's going on in Moscow. No, I'm not. Another explosion has occurred. Another explosion has occurred. We've had two major explosions in Moscow in the last 2 days. You think that's not suspicious? You think that's not a problem? I think it is. I think we've got some serious problems, folks. Well, I know Putin has a problem. Are these explosions natural? Are they coincidences? We're going to find out. Now, I've talked about politicians. They want to impeach Biden. They want this. They want that. If you don't give us what we want, I'm going to give you to the count of 5. I'm going to give you 5 days. The count of 5, and if you don't do it, I'm going to say that you're in contempt of Congress. Well, it's all talk, hot air, and bullshit, right? Saying that Biden has committed all those crimes and he's going to do articles of impeachment. Unless they actually do it, what good is it? So I want to give you a marked, distinct difference. There are major differences, folks, between Washington, D.C. and the politics and the rhetoric and the lies and the bullshit up there. There's a major difference between politicians and leaders. And I want you to understand this, folks. Politicians are not leaders, and leaders are not politicians necessarily. Though politicians could be put in positions of leadership, and leaders could end up becoming politicians. Now, Governor DeSantis in Florida. I know that right now, as far as presidential politics, he is a dead stick. He's toast. He's off the grid. Fine, good. I'm sure the people of Florida are very happy about that. Here's the difference between a DC politician and a real leader. DeSantis has fired another prosecutor over needless pain and suffering and death that this prosecutor is allowed. By the way, this prosecutor is another George Soros funded prosecutor. DeSantis didn't talk. He didn't promise. He didn't threaten that he might do something, or I'm going to give you the count of 5. He didn't do any of that shit. He fired the person. And then the news reported what happened. He didn't come out and make all kinds of show in front of cameras. If you don't do what I say, this and that, you're out of it. No, done. And this is what he said. And there's a great lesson in here for leaders to understand. He said this, and he's speaking of this particular case, not a generality about government, which is the thing I would like you to take away from this. But he's speaking, of course, about firing this idiot. He said, prosecutors have a duty to faithfully enforce the law. One's political agenda cannot trump this solemn duty. Refusing to faithfully enforce the laws of Florida puts our communities in danger and victimizes innocent Floridians. See, that's what I want Republicans to do in D.C. That's why I say support them, get behind them, tell them what to do. I want them, folks, to faithfully enforce the law, faithfully uphold their oaths. I want Washington, D.C. to stop the bullshit investigations, the grandstanding, the empty threats and hollow promises. I want them to actually take action. As the actor James Wood says, for the love of God, do something. Now, I want to step back and go over what DeSantis said here. There's a couple of thoughts and concepts. Prosecutors have a duty to faithfully enforce the law. Folks, anyone who is taking an oath has a duty, a requirement to faithfully, meaning do it correctly. Not second best, not goofing around, but to faithfully, fully uphold their oath, which is to defend and protect the people, the country, and the Constitution. We're getting to a place and a point where we're going to see the difference between leaders as they stand up, and DeSantis is being one and has been one, while the rest of them in the country, folks, show us that they're just politicians, that they are all about words and not doing their jobs. What do you think? What do you think? All right, well, I asked you what you think. Now it's your turn to talk. Charles Gentry steps in and says, Biden may be a lunatic, but he's rich. He's a rich and powerful lunatic. He does have that in common so far with the dictators in recent history. Only thing left is open murder of opposition. We're very close to that now. Down in Brazil, they're arresting opposition. They're using the courts to silence opposition. In Ecuador, in Venezuela, they are murdering opposition. That's right, Venezuela, Ecuador, socialist with communist underpinnings. Very dangerous. Biden is a lunatic, and he is wealthy to a degree, though his masters are far more wealthy. And he is, folks, powerful because he is in a position of power. He's a lunatic, folks, and he's dangerous. But you look at what's happening. I'm going to give you an example here. How close are we? How close are we? Well, over in Europe and the United Kingdom, England, they've got some shit going on. They're starting to punish their people. I've talked about it. I said, hey, when a country can no longer look out and have its foreign enemies, its foreign adversaries, its foreign, shall we say, competition, fight with it for control, power, wealth, resources, they start to look inward and they come after their own people. In the United Kingdom, they're having massive problems. And listen to this, folks. A girl, a woman, was arrested for saying the word lesbian in the United Kingdom. Lesbian. She said the word lesbian. Arrested. And this was an autistic teenage girl, folks. That's right. In Leeds, England, an autistic teenage girl was arrested. Crime is on the rise there. Foreign scumbags, migrants, right, are committing all kinds and manner of atrocities and violence, and they're worried about what a white teenage autistic girl says. The word lesbian. Now, let's go a little further, shall we? I don't want anyone to forget that there's more going on than just America. So, Peter Sweden, which is a news source of information, said this year in Sweden, there have been 100 bombings. Is it right-wing patriots? Is it teenage autistic girls doing it? Is it American white supremacists in Sweden? No, folks. I think it's probably the imported terrorists from the Middle East that have been sent up to Sweden. 100 bombings. Now, Sweden, folks, has a couple of big cities. It's not like America. Sweden is not as big as America. It is not as populous. It's not as, the cities aren't as big. They're not as powerful. They're nice little Swedish cities. That'd be like, I don't know, let's take a couple of cities. Miami. Let's just do Florida. Florida, Sweden, Sweden, Florida. Jacksonville, Miami, Tampa, and Tallahassee. Let's just pick those 4 Florida cities. If there were 100 bombings in those 4 cities, you'd be like, that's 25 bombs each. And it's the year is only 2/3 over. Where is all this violence coming? Can you imagine if your city had 1 bomb go off? Hell, if 1 bomb threat went off in your city, everyone throws a fit and acts scared. Try 25 real bombs. Try 100 bombs in your state. 100 bombings. Whoa, that's a problem. But the real problem is someone saying lesbian or fruit salad, or talking about horse paste. We're talking about the open border. We're talking about how you should not ever, ever, ever make jokes about identifying as a fruitcake, whether you're a girl, a boy, identifier, or a dog or a fire hydrant. Wow. Absolutely wow. It is fucking fight it free for all. It is a fiasco, folks. It is. It's an absolute fiasco. And the rest of the world doesn't respect America anymore. Get this. You want some World War III update? I'll give you some World War III update. Let's make this our top story now. World War III watch. The coup leader in Niger basically is told the war hawk, Victoria Nuland, the DC, let's go kill everyone lady. He says, hey, look, we are going to kill the deposed president, Bazoum. That's right, folks. The military coup leader says, hey, we've got the president, the old one. And if you, United States of America, government of Washington, D.C., if you mess with us, we're going to kill Bazoum. So not only are they holding him in jail, he is a hostage with a gun to his head. They're stepping up the death, folks. The potential for all-out murder and slaying. And this coming from a bunch of military coup people in Niger, folks. This is a serious FU to the DC. Do you see how this leads to WWIII? It is another piece. When a little country like Niger, now they are a big oil producer, they do have uranium. They got energy over there, but you know, it's Niger. They've been held down and held in third world shitball status. They look at the US and they're like, you know what? We'll just kill your people. Oh, did I say that? Did I say that Bazoum was the CIA puppet leader in Niger? Well, I didn't say that. But if you want to believe that, that's up to you. Why would the US care about what's going on in Niger, folks, unless they didn't have a military investment there, a military industrial complex, an energy complex investment in Niger? That's exactly what's going on, folks. Both US government, the DC government, and France have financial interests in Niger. They have energy interests in Niger, and that's why they give a shit. And that's why this is such a big deal. It's a huge deal. What do you want to talk about? What's on your mind, folks? We got just about 10 minutes left on this Free for All Friday. And it has been a fiasco of a shitball week, I tell you. An absolute fiasco. What's on your mind? What's on Uman's mind? What's on Oliver's mind? Oh, by the way, Obama's judge, Tanya Chutkan, who is dealing with the Trump trial, decides to say, you know what? Free speech right is not absolute. You know, this is interesting. We know you can't yell fire in a crowded room unless there's a real fire. We know you can't incite people to violence. Well, I guess unless it's a revolution. but you're not allowed to do those sorts of things. However, I think this judge, Tanya Chutkan, doesn't know her ass from a hole in the ground either, any more than these other judges from other countries. Free speech is not absolute. There are just a very few limitations. But political speech is not prohibited. And this is a political persecution. Just ask Antifa. They use their political speech and they do incite violence and they do commit violence. And now, folks, just as a gentle reminder, Antifa and BLM, these groups, folks, whether they think they're the nice Antifa or the bad Antifa or the badass Antifa, these people are they're in court now after burning, looting, and murdering, terrorizing Americans, terrorizing and murdering police. They're now suing cities for their rights being violated. Their rights where they were committing crimes, their rights where they were, well, using their political speech while committing acts of violence. And then this fucking judge comes out who was appointed by Obama, says free speech right is not absolute. Can you believe that? It is mind numbing listening to these ding dongs. It truly is. It truly is. They're just absolute dunderheads. And it's not going to get better, folks. I actually think, and I'm starting to really, really believe that the cerveza bug solution, the Jim Jones juice, was the actual goal of the government. It was not to kill everyone with cerveza bug. It was to get as many people as they could to take the Jim Jones juice. It is brain rot, folks. Brain rot. Now, Representative Johnson, another congressman, he is stating that cerveza bug was, quote, pre-planned by an elite group, citing Event 201. Now, this is in connection with the Johns Hopkins Center, World Economic Forum, and Gates Foundation, their exercise, Event 201. Okay, Mr. Johnson, Representative Johnson, Congressman Johnson, you got the truth out there that it was pre-planned. Now, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to talk, or are you going to do what DeSantis did? This is where we're at, folks. It is shit or got off the pot. That's what time it is. Shit or get off the pot. Right now, Washington, D.C. is just shitting itself. Once again, if cerveza bug was pre-planned, but the Gates Foundation was part of the exercise, what was the goal? What was the goal? The goal was to get everyone to take the Jim Jones juice. All right, Jolene, let's do this. We got a few minutes left. Let's get into some more questions. We have Charles Gentry. He says, what would the Americans that made America great be doing right now if they were here facing what we are facing? Your excuse? Are you a great American? The challenge. Why aren't you out there shooting people and taking down the bad guys, John? Well, because no one else is. I don't want to be the first one out there getting clubbed. It happens. At some point, someone is going to do it. Folks, understand this. Again, in 1775, this guy named Benjamin Franklin, who you think of as this bald dude with bifocal glasses who likes to fly kites with a string in thunderstorms and lightning storms, who's on the $100 bill, invented the Franklin stove and many other things, including the bifocal glasses. We think of him. But in 1775, guess what he was? He was a young man, pissed off and writing in a newspaper about their rights being violated by England. 50 years later, our founding fathers, the Americans that made America great and free, finally did something about it. 50 years. How long have we been putting up with abusive, shitty government, Charles? It's a great question. Now, what happened? Understand this, folks. Right now, you and I can look at the Declaration of Independence, right, Charles? We can read it, right? We can see the words and go, oh shit, that's happening right now. We see it. What happened in America that changed all that? The abuse continued, the abuse grew, the taxes grew, the political persecution, the lying courts, the king's men, it all grew and grew and grew. It did. And then something interesting happened. We had Lexington and Concord, did we not? That was when regular Americans in a very small group decided they were going to face off against tyrannical, shit-stained law enforcement agents of King George and the local governor and the local office, the local battalion, the local police department, if you will. That's what set off the American Revolution. They had groups out there called the Minutemen. The Minutemen. Who were the Minutemen? Well, they were a group of militia, free men who were farmers and merchants that decided that if something nasty went down, they would grab their guns and head into the action to take care of the problem. Do we have militia? Do we have trained men out here that are armed? Do we have people who understand military and police tactics who are patriots? Yes, yes, and yes. Who else did we have back in 1776 and before? We had Paul Revere. What is he famous for besides being a silversmith and having that good pose? Right, Paul Revere is famous for riding through the middle of the night, shouting, "The redcoats are coming, the redcoats are coming." He was issuing the warning. Who were the redcoats? They were the king's men, the officers, the law enforcement that was there to violate their rights of free speech, to arrest them falsely, to take their guns, and of course also to burn, loot, and murder. That's right, folks. The redcoats burned, looted, and murdered. They did it directly under King's orders, kind of like BLM and Antifa burned, looted, and murdered because the king, or rather the sovereign government, allowed it. To allow a crime that you know is a crime and is occurring to occur and continue and persist, and then to promote doing more of that. That's the same as authorizing it and issuing an order. Here we are, folks. What's it going to take? Yes, one more, Jolene. What's it going to take? We're going to have a Lexington and Concord moment. Everyone thought that's what Waco and Ruby Ridge was. That was reminiscent of it. America was just starting to be oppressed and pissed off. Well, it's getting a lot closer, is it not? It really is getting a lot closer. It's a great topic. Am I a leader? Am I a Minuteman? Am I a Paul Revere type figure? Are you? The redcoats are coming. Okay, Jolene, let's do it quickly. We got name redacted. He says World War II and the narrative celebrating after is how we got here. Big Brother is an opportunist. Everyone took their eye off of the business ball, buying houses, cars, and making babies. Well, I tell you what, I think that war in all its guises is still war, whether it's with guns and rockets and bullets, or whether it's with paper laws, or maybe paper money. It's all war. The government commits acts of war against its own people as well as people in other countries. Banks commit acts of war against people by committing fraud. Banks have always done that. We'll take your gold and we'll give you paper for it. That's what they say, because paper is safer. Oh, really? Oh, someone steals the paper. What's the difference? I'd rather have gold in my pocket or silver. See, that's what they do. Where's your gold and silver, folks? At best, you have paper. And soon you'll have digital zeros in a bank account that can be locked anytime they wish to do it. It's all war. Control for your mind, Destroying your children is an act of war, being caused by drag queens and fruit salad freaks. SHTF. Do you have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and means of self-defense? Go to thepreparedmind.club. We're not a store. We're basically a library for finding what you need, and you can click on it and go to the other stores that sell you things and get you what you need. Get prepared for what is coming, folks. I'll see you Sunday on Sunday Night Live, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It'll be the Zoo live with YouTube, thepreparedmind.club, and subscribestar.com. Everyone together, and it'll be a blast. Trust me on this. This weekend is going to have some action in it. God bless America. Semper Fi. And tomorrow, there should be a new aquatic adventure out there. Thank you very much, Mr. Uman. I appreciate that. I'll be doing an aquatic adventure tomorrow. You guys be cool for now, and I will see you, well, either at Aquatic Adventures with John or Sunday night at the zoo. You guys be very, very safe. Get prepared.